this is Tuscany is not a region of the Alpine space, but it has the Apennines mountains. So the Apennines they're going till 2,000 meters. So there's also some mountains, and Tuscany has a long history of forestry, and Douglas-fir is a species that was introduced in Tuscany in 1886 in the gardens, and then as a forest tree at the beginning of the 1900. So, and naturally, as you know, Douglas-fir is a very productive species, and so one of his potential is about carbon stocking, also about the role of these species, high productive species, for climate mitigation. Climate mitigation in the forest and climate mitigation also outside the forest. So forests are a strategic reserve of carbon and biodiversity with high potential for mitigation. And also the role of these non-native species, high productive non-native species in terms of land sparing. So the split of land between very biodiversity focus management and some places that could be very good for forest production, for intensive forest production. And this because the cost of forestry in Tuscany at least are very high. So not all the forests are the first ecosystem services is timber. Most of the forests are for other ecosystem services. And we have to deal with the new Green Deal to lower our emissions. The emissions of Italians are much more lower than the European mean, or for the French, they are 6.2, but we want to do much better and to fit climate neutrality, and also with a good also economy. These are the data from ISTAT, that is our National Institute for Statistics. And Italy is a very good in transforming things, and has a very high positive balance. He is the third in the world about timber transformation, but it is also a very great importer of wood. So it imports many kind of woods. Some of these is raw timber. In this raw timber, 30% is of conifer woods. So of course, this importation have some drawback. That is wood security. You see here, 30% of the wood in Europe comes from Russia, but also it has a very big carbon footprint, because transportation is the number one of emission associated with wood. Then in the Mediterranean area, we have also climate change, an increase of temperature that's above the average, the global average, and also this could be a problem in the future. So for the sustainability of Douglas-fir in Tuscany, that is to meet several different things, and environmental things, economical aspect, and also social aspect. And our forests are mostly multifunctional, so even the most productive forests, as you see here, these are ones of the tallest trees in Italy. They reach 62 meters in height, and they were planted in 1908. So they have almost 120 years old, and they have a lot of ecosystem services. Mostly of them are tourism and also biodiversity protection. You see at the bases a lot of mosses. The bark is very fissurated, so we have also seen ceramide insects, and some of them can also host precious birds like Picus martius. And but it has also other ecosystem services as maintaining carbon sinks, and also the bark is very rich in suberin, so it could also be used to stop or to contain forest fires if there is a problem in the future in this area. And also, of course, to supply the wood supply chain, mainly at local part. So Douglas-fir is considered naturalized in Tuscany. His invasivity is quite low and very adapted. In this 100 of years has not given a lot of problem to summer drought or to insects or other pathogens, and it also adapts to somehow poor soil and has a very high productivity, but is very sensitive to spring frost. This can cause needle death and also impact many aspects of seed reproduction, like pollen vitality and also fertilization after the first phases after fertilization. So the project has taken in account many areas in Tuscany, and Douglas-fir is not very, as you see, has not very much hectares. Tuscany, we have the 7,500 hectares, and also in Italy, it's not very, very widespread. So it's like is a niche, and is in mostly in four regions. Also in Calabria, in the south, Puglia is also in the south, and Tuscany and Emilia-Romagna are two neighbor regions. And so the project would like to promote a more evolved silviculture based on natural regeneration. Natural regeneration is always a big question because it's not so easy to achieve. Sometimes it takes many years to have this natural regeneration at a big stage. But if you can see here in this photo. When you have a clear cut, we have almost our clear cut are below an hectare or are below an hectare. No more than 3 hectares is forbidden. So, but they are less than 3 hectares in the most cases. And if these clear cuts are made when there is a heavy seed production, you have a very high natural regeneration. And so it is important also to monitoring seed production. In 10 years, you can have 2 heavy seed production and 2 half seed mass years. And here you can see how these clear cuts are made. Mostly are in elongated form. And here you can see a lot of natural regeneration. In these clear cuts, the law oblige the property to make reforestation with 1,600 trees. And this, for example, is natural regeneration of that was born in 2013. So almost in 10 years, and you can see that some trees are growing very well and very and also with very high density. And the project also has inside a part made from the CREA, from Maria Cristina Monteverdi, about the genetics and about the UFRO provenances. We have 2 stands with these provenances. Inside the provenances, we have a lot of provenances, but they saw also a strong variability also within the provenances. Also, if you can see from the branches, the form of the branches. And so it's very important to keep these provenances and to make new stands with these provenances. And also deals with wood technology, as in the future, wood would be a substitute for very high emission containing materials like steel and concrete. They have in the wood, if the wood is taken from a local chain, the emission will be 40 times less than Portland concrete, and so it's very important to use wood for many things that we need. And so part of the project made by Michele Brunetti is about local qualification with not destructive methods. They are very rapid and very good. So you can choose which log is for sawn and which log is for other uses. And you can see also among these logs what is the percentage of the both. And this is because only some logs that have a high classification index could be used for structure, and so not all the log is good, but the quality of Douglas-fir is very good, and also with a ring of 0.5 centimeter it can achieve a high quality of this timber classification. And the maximum mitigation, how can we achieve this maximum mitigation? It is with the conservation of carbon in the forest and train the trees to give wood for long-lasting and recyclable products that could replace high emission materials, and also wood for reduce the use of energy, for example, building insulation or a local supply chain by energy and so on. And this is Douglas-fir stance. This can be some architecture made in rural areas with logs, and this is the stand with the highest, the tallest trees in Italy of Douglas-fir. They are placed in Vallombrosa. Here you can see that in this place in Vallombrosa forest, they have made a chronosequence, for example, for the carbon in the soil. You can see as the forest aged, the organic carbon and the mineral soil carbon is increasing. So you can have a very important place to store this carbon. But also the productivity is very high. You can see here that the current increment are still very high in this forest. We have achieved 30 cubic meter per hectare per year as current increment, and it is at 70 years much higher than the MEA increments. That means that could be it can grow also for several years. And here you have, under this Douglas-fir, you have regeneration of, for example, silver fir that is very common in this area. So it's also a part of an ecological subsection. And if you transform this volume increment in tons of carbons, you can see that they are very, very, very high. So very high in the stock, and so also very high in the increments. So how is a very valuable tree species for the Apennines, for carbon stocking, for the local economy, and so on. Now, more on the ecological part. When you call to carbon, you have to focalize on the net ecosystem productivity. That is photosynthesis minus respiration. And what is the problem with climate change? That photosynthesis have a peak. A peak is located. It depends on the species, but in general is located at about 20 degrees or a bit less. But the respiration is increasing with monotonically increasing with temperature. So the net ecosystem productive has a peak a little less in a point at the colder temperature, a bit less than photosynthesis, and then it drops very much. So, and here on the right, you have from the JRC publication of rank, where the blue points where Douglas-fir is present in Europe, and where it is not present. So you can see that the temperature the temperature are from 5 to 20 to 15 to 15 degrees, and where there is placed in our on our mountains. Some points are outside. So these are data that are not modeled, that are taken from local meteo station, from selected year. They are complete. They are, and meteo station also are selected for completeness and for a long series of data. And this is how, if we have almost, if you plot temperature with the data theme, we have had an increase in temperature of 0.3 degrees per decade. So this is, we have already have it, and so here's how it will go. So I think that Douglas-fir is an option for Italy for making good quality trees, and set aside places for biodiversity and conservation and other aims. So,